by miracle of sound. Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast, or our first episode of 2025, where we're doing episode 4 of Alloy of Law, chapters 10 to 13. I am Midnight, your host, and I'm here with Mythic.
Hola.
And Darkness.
Hi.
Alright, so we're going to go straight into chapter 10, which is starting with a Marassi point of view.
Can't we go to chapter 13 first and then work backwards?
Also, isn't it Darkness and Midnight
What?
like last time?
No.
We just completely excluded Mythic.
Weren't we excluding me? I forgot.
No! Yeah, so Marassi's with Wax and Wayne, and they're in a carriage heading towards the 5th octant. Marassi compares the people on the streets to white blood cells moving through veins, which she had been able to look at before through a telescope. Wax seemed distracted, and Wayne was sleeping and wearing a cap he had taken at some point when Wax had flagged down the carriage. Marassi worries that she's not being helpful at all and only showed herself to be a helpless girl. She didn't let herself sulk, though, as that wouldn't be helpful either. Marassi thinks about how the words of founding had made plans for the city, although Spook had named the city Elendel. The center of the city had a field of Marewell flowers that were able to bloom year-round due to a hot spring beneath it. A statue of the final emperor and the ascendant warrior were on top of a museum in the field called the Field of Rebirth. Marassi asks Wax about his uncle, and Wax mentions how, after the heir to their estate had succumbed to disease, his uncle had taken his aunt and his sister on a carriage ride up to a vantage point, but the horse bolted and the carriage fell down a cliff. Wax mentions being upset that he hadn't been more upset due to not seeing his uncle or sister in many years before they had died. Wayne makes a joke and Marassi kicks him for not respecting the dead. Marassi asks if Wax's uncle's death had been an accident, and Wax had said he had thought it had just been an accident before, but now he was unsure, although the butler had been back at the mansion that day and not in the carriage. So do you think Wax's uncle, aunt, and sister were killed on purpose, or do you think it was an accident?
Definitely on purpose. Murder. Murder.
Why
Murder
would they
them all.
want to kill them on purpose? That's crazy. Yeah, it was on purpose.
You definitely think it was on purpose? Because, I mean, it seems like they're after Wax because of who Wax is, not necessarily because of his family. So it technically could have been an accident. Because, like, the uncle didn't seem very competent.
Nothing's an
Nuh-uh.
accident, ever.
Everything's planned from the very beginning. Ruin taught us that.
Fair,
Mhm.
fair. So Marassi briefly mentions that the newspapers call Wax Waxilium Dawnshot, which Wayne complains about. Wayne then asks if they're going to see Renette.
Because he should be called that.
Yeah. Wayne then asks if they're going to see Renette and mentions that he knows exactly where her house is, but Wax insists they aren't going to go see her. Wax then asks Marassi if she can use a pistol, but she replies that her club mainly uses rifles. Wax hands her a pistol anyways, as you can't fit a rifle into a handbag.
I mean, you
Wax-
could.
Wax gives her some pointers about firing her pistol while making fun of Wayne for being a terrible shot. Once at the Vanishers building, Wax asks Marassi to stay in the carriage while they double-check for traps and for people. Marassi agrees, and Wax and Wayne wander around the building, eventually jumping onto the roof and breaking in. Marassi hears the carriage driver mumbling that it's none of his business. Eventually, Wax opens the main door and waves for Marassi to join them. Once she had joined them, Wax mentions that there were 2 tripwires with explosives attached to them, as Wax explains the layout of the empty building to Marassi. Wayne discovers a wall that slides open to access the canal. Marassi and Wax wander over and note that it seems well used as the rolling track is greased. So what do you think about Wax and Wayne leaving Marassi behind in the carriage while they checked for traps?
Idea. I mean, hey, what is she gonna do? Make everything go faster? I mean, hey, she could sit in the car and make everything go faster.
She could have waited, just like in the car.
Just boom. Hey, they're back already! Yay!
So Marassi mentions looking for aluminum droplets from forging, but Wax had already found some and dropped them into her hand. Marassi then notes that it seems the windows were darkened by candle soot on purpose and not just from the forging. Wax then suggests that they were using the large sliding wall door to move in the cargo they had stolen from the trains, meaning they had been shipping it to the building somehow. Wax says he's going to check around the outside of the building and suggests that Wayne and Marassi check upstairs in the sleeping quarters, although he asks Wayne to double-check for more traps first. Wayne heads upstairs, and after a while Marassi follows, thinking he took too long. When she calls out for Wayne, he uses a different voice to pretend to be someone who killed Wayne, as he calls himself very handsome, and says 100 men had to be used to take him down.
The moment he said, "I killed that very handsome man," or some stupid shit like that, I was like, yeah, definitely.
Marassi isn't impressed, as she was scared for the first moment. Wayne then mentions that there had been explosive traps that they had missed, so she should have waited for him to come get her. So what did you think about Wayne's prank?
I don't know, but I'm definitely shipping Wayne and her for sure.
He says he's not in her though because she can't beat him up.
Yeah, sure. And
He
then
likes
she's
women
gonna
who
find
can
a way
beat
to
him
beat him
up.
up. And then she's gonna find a way to beat him up, and then that won't matter. So
What did you think about the prank, Darkness?
for a guy who says, I'm sorry,
Well,
for a guy who says that he isn't interested in her, he gets very jealous later.
Hmm. What did you say, Darkness?
I mean, it was funny. This motherfucker's funny in general, so.
Yeah, he is. Also, what did you think about all these traps that they left behind to try and, like, get Wax and Wayne with?
Somebody's well planned.
Well, we know, like, it's somebody who knows them well, you know.
Yeah, we get confirmation that it definitely is Miles. Wax was right about that.
Right about a lot of things. So
So Marassi and Wayne then begin to explore the sleeping quarters, but there doesn't seem to be much there. The floor is even too thin to have anything hidden in it, as Marassi can see down to the floor below between the floorboards. However, Marassi does ask about what the dynamite was held in, and Wayne realizes that it was in a fancy cigar box with a strange series of numbers on it. Wayne holds onto it to show to Wax later. Marassi then asks Wayne how he ended up working with Wax, and Wayne replies that Wax saved him from being hanged after he shot an innocent man by accident when trying to rob him. He had bad friends who had convinced him to start robbing people at gunpoint instead of just stealing, but he hadn't wanted to kill anyone. Wayne continues on about how the man was a good man with a wife and children, how he did charity work and wrote for mine workers to send letters back to their families. Wayne mentions how he sends money to the family to try to make up for killing their dad, and they send him letters back saying they'll never forgive him. Waxon shows up and
fair,
Wayne
which is fair.
Yeah. Waxon shows up and Wayne jokes about Wax ruining his heart-to-heart with Marassi. Wax mentions that he talked to a beggar who confirmed the Vanishers were moving big cargo in and out of from a canal boat a few times, including what seemed like machinery. Wayne and Marassi show Wax the cigar box, and then Wax briefly asks Marassi if she's heard of Miles' 100 Lives, before saying they need to take a trip. So what did you think about Wayne's past of being like a criminal and then like killing this man and like he's like doing all he can to kind of like make it up to the family even though he really can't?
I didn't see him being a criminal. That's for sure. I didn't
Also,
expect
there's a
that.
lot.
Hmm?
It's a lot more than what usually people do. Because I know a lot of people would just, like, drown in their self-pity instead of actually doing something and trying to fix it. Even though, it's not fixable.
Yeah, it seems like Wayne's really like feels really guilty about it, and he's like, I just need to like do something for them. Because also like, yeah, he's probably like this dad was probably like the breadwinner of the family, so I'm gonna send them money to try and like not just make up for like he can't make up for the emotional struggle, but he's trying to make up for the financial struggle their family probably went through.
So sexist thinking that the father is the breadwinner. Like what?
Well, he kind of implies it. He says like the dad was the one doing all this like work, and like he was like an accountant or something.
Nah, the mom could have been making money.
Even if the mom's also making money, like you're still losing out on the dad's income.
Nah, he was a deadbeat.
The
He
dad
was definitely not a
stay-at-home-
deadbeat.
The dad was a stay-at-home dad, and then the mother was, like, a
The
CEO.
breadwinner. Yeah.
He definitely wasn't. They say he was an accountant.
Nah,
He's
that's just what he says. Though he feels more guilty.
Okay.
He's accounting for the children he takes care of at home.
Exactly, just like Darkness.
Also, what did you think of Miles's kind of like nickname when you first heard it before you found out more about him? Miles 100 Lives.
Miles Morales from Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay. It's good. That's a good one. Darkness. I mean, it just made me think kind of what it really is, though, to be honest. But I thought about the Lord Ruler. It was like, yeah, he's gonna have some ability like that.
So we then move to chapter 11, and we get Miles's point of view as he smokes a cigar. Tarson.
Which shocked me. Like, why are we getting this guy's point of view? We get main characters, not this villain.
I like Miles. He's very
good.
interesting. He's a very interesting character.
Your face is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting.
You're hard.
You're hard.
The way we've taken to saying that off of, like, call with you is crazy.
Tarson, the colas-blooded pewter arm, comes over and states that Wax and Wayne had been spotted near their old foundry. Tarson was still wearing Wayne's hat as he mentions Wax talking to the beggars. Clamps, third in command, says they should have offed the beggars, but Miles doesn't want the beggars against them, and that Wax would have figured things out anyways. Miles is wearing 2 aluminum guns and a silver lighter with a lawkeeper's seal on it that makes the others uncomfortable. Miles then assesses the foundry he is in, which is a large underground room lit by electric lights and vented by electric fans that Mr. Suit promised would be good enough to keep the air clean. There was
Mr. Suit.
Yeah, Mr. Suit. There was also a tunnel with railway tracks that led off into the darkness that Mr. Suit said would be the start of an underground railway for the city. That railway line only led a short way to a building where Miles's men were housed for now. Miles continues to smoke his cigar as he draws on his gold, which makes him basically immortal outside of aging and having to sleep. You were going to say something there, Mythic?
No,
That was me making fun of the way
yeah,
you said
Oh, is it?
railway.
yeah.
They made their
I
way
get
into
a
the
lisp
railway.
sometimes, okay?
A lisp? Really?
You know, people who made these words for these like things are absolutely diabolical. Why put an S in lisp?
I know, right?
Plus the sexiest.
Also, what do you think about this underground foundry and potential underground railway that Mr. Suit has been building?
Trying to figure out the implications of why though.
He read about El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Oh my god, wait. Are there drugs in this world?
Are there what?
Drugs.
Probably.
Let's start a cartel.
How? Drug cartel?
Clampson states that Mr. Suit is waiting to meet with Miles, but Miles wants to make him wait a moment to prove that Mr. Suit doesn't own him. He asks Clamps about recruitment, but
Okay, buddy.
he asks Clamps about recruitment, but Clamps replies that it's difficult after losing half of their men the other day. Tarzan speaks up about the men thinking that Miles was working with Wax, but Miles tells Clamps to tell the men that he's proud of them and that what they do isn't against the true law, but only the rules that the rich make. Miles then talks about how his 15 years out in the roughs didn't change anything, and that things needed to change in the city first. Miles then thinks about...
I don't like that he keeps calling himself a lawman even though he's breaking the law.
Right? At most he's like vigilante, but even then he's like, you're working with criminals. This isn't... You're not... Like, are you changing things, Miles?
Like, you're just killing the rich. Like, come on.
So Miles then thinks about Trell, a god from one of the old religions that Sayce had included in the words of founding. He thinks that Trellism proves that people like him are special. Miles then finally heads over to speak to Mr. Suit, who has his own office here. Miles didn't want to work so close under Mr. Suit's thumb, but he had to for the moment. So what do you think about Miles following one of these old religions, Trellism?
Trellism? Like, what was it?
Trellism. The god Trell.
Yeah. Who's Trell?
We don't know. So I believe Sayce talks about... So Sayce gives a very brief... Because remember, Sayce gives like a fuck ton of religions in the first series, and Trellism is one of the ones he briefly talks about. I was trying to find the information on it, but I couldn't find it in the Coppermind where like...
I not know that. What? Come on. Do I have to go look it up myself?
No.
Right, let's go look it up in the Coppermind.
Yeah, I'll just go look at the Coppermind myself. Yeah. Just go deep dive.
Yeah, so Trellism is related to being exploratory and related to the stars.
I remember that.
Oh, here we go. I found it on a Reddit thread. Someone listed out the thing. So it says, I think I have the perfect religion for you, Sayce said, his normally stoic face revealing a glimmer of eagerness. It's called Trellism, after the god Trell. Trell was worshipped by a group known as the Nalazan, a people who lived far to the north. In their land, the day and night cycle were very odd. During some months of the year, it was dark for most of the day. During the summer, however, it only grew dark for a few hours at a time. The Nelazan believed that there was beauty in darkness, and that the daylight was more profane. They saw the stars as 1,000 eyes of Trell watching them. The sun was the single jealous eye of Trell's brother, Nault. Since Nault had only one eye, he made it blaze brightly to outshine his brother. The Nelazan, however, were not impressed, and preferred to worship the quiet Trell who watched over them, even when Nault obscured the sky. And then there's a second mention which says, it listed the tenets of the Nelazan people who had worshipped the god Trell. Sayce had always been partial to this religion because of its focus on learning and the study of mathematics and the heavens. He saved it for near the end, but had done so more out of worry than anything else. He wanted to put off what he'd known would happen. Sure enough, as he read about the religion, he saw the holes in its doctrines. True, the Nelazan had known a great deal about astronomy, but their teachings on the afterlife were sketchy, almost whimsical. Their doctrine was purposely vague, they taught, allowing all men to discover truth for themselves. Reading this, however, left Sayce frustrated. What good was a religion without answers? Why believe in something if the response to half of his questions was, ask Trell and he will answer?
Which is every religion, but okay.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, Trellism is all about like astronomy and worshipping like the 1,000 eyes of Trell, which are the stars.
Gotcha.
And apparently, for some reason, Miles is worshipping this old religion that was mentioned in the Words of Founding.
That's just his religion.
Yeah, it's just the way religion works, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that he picked up one of these old religions from like Mistborn Era 1, where like it was one of the ones that died out. So then we go to Mr. Suit in his office. And Miles notes that he's wearing expensive clothing, and he tells Miles that he doesn't like the smell of the cigar smoke, but Miles doesn't care and continues smoking his cigar. Mr. Suit comments on how Wax found their old foundry, and Miles just replies that it was a matter of time since some of their men have been captured. Mr. Suit comments on their loyalty, and Miles thinks that most of the men aren't here for the cause, but for the money. Miles and Mr. Suit go back and forth about whether Miles had some grudge with Wax and what Miles's goals are. Miles insists that he doesn't have a grudge against Wax, that he considers Wax a better man than him or Mr. Suit, but that Wax chose the wrong side of things. Eventually, though, they turn back to business, and Mr. Suit provides a blueprint of the new freight car and states that how to get into it has been figured out. Miles just needs to do the execution. Miles then asks about Steris, and Mr. Suit says he would have taken her off the list if he'd paid better attention to Wax's affairs, but he'll deal with her later. Miles then states that he'll deal with Wax today. So what were your thoughts on Mr. Suit?
Seems pompous and arrogant, and I don't like him. But I also think he's gonna be like, wow, I can't think of names right now. Spook. That's the word I was looking for.
You think Spook is Mr. Suit?
Yeah, it's gonna be Spook.
I see.
Or it's gonna be like somebody from our past, but I'm just gonna put Spook in there.
What do you think about Mr. Suit, Darkness?
Mr. Soup, yummy.
Mr. Suit.
Yeah, Mr. Soup.
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 I can't really tell if this is him being part of like the actual nobility society or whatever part from the city, right? Or if he's just like naturally that way.
If he's just a fancy dude or if he's actually like a rich dude.
Yeah.
So we switch to Wax's point of view as he sits on a train car with Marassi and Wayne, explaining how Miles is a twin-born with gold as both his powers, meaning he can compound it. Wax explains that this gives Miles a near infinite amount of healing ability as long as he has the gold that he can use. Wax states that he wasn't friends with Miles, but they had an alliance as lawkeepers out in the roughs. Wax says that Miles shouldn't be working with criminals since he was a lawkeeper, but he was sure that it was Miles he saw at the wedding party. Wayne replies that he isn't surprised based on how Miles used to speak about the people of Ellendale. So what do you think about Miles being a gold compounder?
Interesting.
That's crazy. That's the eternal life thingy, right?
No, ATM was the the non-aging gold. Because remember, Miles says in his point of view that like the only things that can kill him is like him aging.
Yeah.
Basically, so he can do like infinite healing basically, but he can't heal like he won't like stop aging because of it. He just heals like wounds.
How does it feel to be a support?
I mean, he heals his own wounds, so.
Yeah, he's more so a tank, I feel like, because he can't heal others.
Right, he's a duelist.
So Waxon mentions that he wants to send Marassi somewhere safe, as fighting someone like Miles changes things. Marassi insists that she's safest near Wax, and she is nowhere else that won't be obvious. She also tries to convince Wax to give their information to the constables, but Wax insists that he promised Lord Harms that he would get I can't speak today. That he would get Steris back. Waxon accuses Marassi of being an allomancer as he notices she keeps a pouch of metal shavings in her handbag and that she seems to have a good understanding of allomancy. Marassi states that she is a pulser, the opposite of Wayne. She's embarrassed of her ability as she doesn't think it can be useful, but Wax says it definitely could be in certain situations. So what did you think about Marassi?
Give me give me a example.
They don't.
What the hell?
Yeah, so what do you think about pulsar? And I believe you were correct I think you had correctly guessed that it was going to be cadmium mythic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember why I said it, but yeah.
Well, I think we went through like all the different metals that can be in Bendalloy, because we knew Bendalloy is the alloy, and so based on those, you said you thought it was most likely to be cadmium. Yeah, so what do you think about the powers of cadmium? You guys were right. It basically is like the absolute reverse of Bendalloy, where it creates a bubble where you slow down in time compared to everyone else instead of you speed up time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the practical uses of that, though, to be honest. Aside from just, not having to worry about time anymore.
It's cool that this is the one that she has, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's cool that it goes like as big as a fucking room.
Yeah, so they mentioned later that her like bubbles are much bigger and her metal burns a lot slower than Bendalloy.
I wonder how far ahead they can go. This is just like eternal.
Years.
If they have like,
I mean, if they have enough cadmium,
good
I'm
amount,
assuming you could just keep burning it.
That's scary though, because like, what if? Also, you're technically still vulnerable while in that. Right?
Yeah, I'm assuming her bubbles, like Wayne's, would like make bullets and stuff act weird. So it's the whole like weird time thing. Like, because they say when you shoot in or out of a speed bubble, like the bullet goes all wild and stuff. So yeah, I'm assuming it'd be the same thing. So like, she wouldn't be maybe as vulnerable, but like, yeah, it would definitely be hard to dodge the bullets as they go wild inside the bubble.
Wait, so she makes things slower inside her bubble, right?
Yeah, so basically time moves faster around her, so she could basically like almost like
So
skip forward
you
in
walk
time.
into a room, you make the whole room slow.
Yeah.
And then like wait, well, I mean, because that just gives me an idea of like what would they do if for the what's the word that I'm looking for? Like combination between the two of them. So like, but he said it cancel. He says later that it cancels out. So
Yeah, Marassi says there's been tests and they basically just
It's
cancel each
funny
other
because
out.
all the fucking questions that I had got answered.
they answer, yeah, no, they answer immediately in this.
Although I
thing
wonder,
pretty
because
quickly.
to be fair, like if the cadmium bubble is bigger, could you basically make an area where it's like
Where you
normal
move
time,
normally?
slow time, normal time, where you have like a donut of slow time, because the
Or
speed bubble's like smaller.
Or if you did like if she did like okay, so they're in a let's say 24 by 24 room, right?
Mhm.
And then she slows the whole room down, but leaves like the center part not slowed down, kind of idea.
No, so
Like
it's like a sphere centered on her. But I'm saying like if Wayne's next to her and does a speed bubble as well, his bubble's smaller.
yeah, but then hers cancels it out.
But I'm wondering like does it fully cancel or as I said is it like a
Oh,
No,
donut?
more
it's
like a
just the
donut.
area.
Yeah. So yeah. So exactly. That's what I was saying. So she makes the whole room slow, and then he pops his to make everything fast. So like you said, it'll balance out.
Yeah.
And then everybody around them is still slow.
So the people outside the room
What happens if she
are
leaves
normal.
the bubble? It doesn't like.
Stops.
Why we made the cop?
I think they show it with
that
Wayne
he
where
can
if
do
he
that.
leaves his bubble stops. Like it like pops. Like there's no more bubble.
Okay, I thought we said he could get away from. He could leave it, but okay.
No, he has to the bubble comes down if he leaves the bubble. He has to be within the bubble.
So she just keeps them in there. She's gonna be a sacrifice later. She's gonna sacrifice herself so that they can get away or some shit.
That's actually gonna happen.
Right.
So Wayne then grabs some pretzels from the cart on the train, and Wax considers their situation. He plays with the earring in his pocket, thinking that he felt like Harmony wanted him to investigate, but also thinking that this could just be confirmation bias. Wax also thinks that he and Miles aren't so different, and that's what scares him the most about Miles. The train then pulls into the station. And then we move to chapter 12. We switch to Wayne's point of view as he talks to the carriage driver, asking him to wait for them. He also asks.
I also agree with that. He isn't very much different than Miles. Like I think he's very similar.
Yeah, I think Wax says in like our previous episode that like that scares him about Miles is that they are quite similar people. Just Miles obviously has a much higher distaste for the Ellendale nobles than Wax does.
He reminds me of a lot of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. I
We
think
saw how that
he'd be
worked
worshipping
out for him.
Kelsier and not Trell.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I was thinking too. Like, what the hell? Like you're on the wrong god, man.
So yeah, Wayne asks the carriage driver to trade his hat, and the man seems confused before reluctantly just giving Wayne his hat.
Which is crazy.
Wayne happily
Here you go.
Wayne happily puts it on as he walks over to Wax, thinking it didn't fit him very well. Wayne breathes in the smell of the canal, wheat fields, and flowers, and then sneezes. He hates filling his metal mind like this, instead preferring to make himself very sick and passing the time by sleeping and drinking. They were out in the outer estates, which were too nice in Wayne's opinion. Wax comments about how the latest train robbery had happened here, and that the railway tracks were particularly close to the canal here, even though all the railway lines followed the canals in general. Wayne practices the pretzel guy's accent, thinking that he's likely from a newer town near the southern mountains. He also thinks that Wax's accent is becoming more city-like. So what did you think about Wayne constantly trying out new accents and like hearing the smallest like differences in people's accents?
That's the same as always.
Mm-hmm.
Sure
This
to
kind of
God,
really
if
shows
that
his.
if that spook thing comes back, I'm gonna forget.
What spook thing?
His little fucking speech shit
Oh,
from the very beginning.
I'm telling you, it's going to have an impact. Like something.
Technically,
Eastern
that's
street
considered
slang.
an ancient language now, eh?
or at least an ancient dialect, yeah.
It's gonna have an impact. I know it.
Oh my gosh.
No.
I just want Spook to. I just want Spook to actually have a reason that happened like canonically.
Wax then goes over how difficult it would be to move so much cargo, saying too many men would not help since the train door is a bottleneck. Speed bubbles also wouldn't help since it would be way too expensive to use so many speed bubbles to move that much cargo. Instead, it had to be machinery that maybe was too hard to move by land, so they moved it by canal. Wax begins investigating, and Wayne quickly gets bored, so he heads over to talk to Marassi. At first, Marassi thinks he's flirting with her, but he insists that although she's pretty and curvy, he prefers women who could beat him up.
He definitely he gets jealous. I don't get it. He says this, but I don't think he means it. Like he gets jealous of this Wayne or no wait
Wax.
Wax. Yeah, he gets jealous of Wax. He's like, why is she giving him so much attention? Come on, man. You're going back on what you said. I don't get it. Confuse me.
But yeah, so instead, Wayne begins talking about what would happen if they used their powers at the same time. However, Marassi says it's already been tried and they just cancel each other out. She also complains more about her powers being useless, but Wayne says she could use it to skip time towards something she is looking forward to, which she admits she has done before, as her cadmium burns slower than Bendalloy. Marassi also states that she can make her bubble the size of a small room, which is much bigger than Wayne can make. I did have a question here about what you thought about that, but we've kind of already discussed the bigger bubbles and stuff like that, or other discussions, so I'll skip that question. Wayne then comments about Marassi liking Wax, and Wax may be liking her, although he's lying about that as he isn't sure how Wax feels about Marassi, which he should be because Wax has specifically told Wayne, I don't like her that way, but he's like, no, I'm sure he likes you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's the thing. Yeah.
However, he does think that in order to get over Lessie, Wax needs to get a new woman. This encourages Marassi to go over to Wax and investigate more with him. When Wayne slowly heads over to him, he sees them inspecting a compacted area of dirt in a perfect rectangle, and Marassi comments that a machine could still have been in the canal and reached the tracks from this spot. So what did you think about Wayne giving Marassi potentially false hope that Wax might like her?
That's valid.
It's not false hope.
Pretty sure it's false hope, considering Wax's previous comments.
Yeah, but people say things all the time like, "I'm not into you because you can't beat me up." Yeah.
So we then move to Wax's point of view a bit later, as they're on the train again. Wax had just used the washroom and was thinking about where Miles could be hiding. Wax thinks that Miles...
Yeah. Where would this guy be?
Yeah. Wax thinks that Miles may want to step back now to let the trail get cold, but then reassesses and thinks that he may want another quick heist without kidnapping anyone to get more money to make more aluminum weapons. He's taken out of his thoughts by a faint scream, and Wax turns to the side just as a bullet comes for him from the next train car. He sees a masked man on the other side, the right height and build to be Miles.
Wherever could he be?
Even the right way of holding his gun. Wax thinks that Miles is the type to hunt, not be hunted, so he had come for Wax. So yeah, what do you think about Miles showing up to fight Wax and not just waiting for Wax to show up somewhere?
The moment he said, "I don't know where this guy is," I was like, he's gonna be right there.
He's on the train.
Come on, man. You've set yourself up for that.
What do you think, Darkness?
Ready for the showdown. It's happening.
Before the showdown, though, we get a broadsheet page. We get the
Oh,
broadsheet.
yeah.
So first of all, there's an article about the union leader potentially secretly working with the noble houses, which is causing issues between workers and the union leader. We have a little comic showing a wealthy man being bribed, so the man doing the bribing could be included at the children's table at an important dinner. We have an advertisement for a new type of gun. We also have an advertisement for a massage parlor that also has an allomancer to soothe people of their anxieties and worries. There's a mention of Feltree, a man running for a government position representing the canal workers, who we've heard of in one of the previous broadsheets. And he's accused of being a rioter and using his powers to gain supporters. There's also an advertisement for allomancers and some ferrochemists for hire, asking for any allomancers to apply for jobs. And then we have a part of Allomancer Jack's story about how he was captured by the Colas, but now is not to be executed and instead living with them for the moment. Any thoughts about the broadsheet?
I'm hearing about it, so my thing doesn't give me a broadsheet.
Any thoughts about the broadsheet, Darkness?
Not really. I was just reading it, but that's it.
It's just a nice little look into how things are going in the world in general.
Something sneaky's gonna be there, and we're not gonna notice until later.
No, I would point it out. There are things that he sneaks into.
You liar.
What are you talking about? No, you would not.
You would not point it out. You'd point it out after.
There are Easter eggs. There's things where I believe there's I don't know if it's in this book or one of the the next one or something, but there's a mention of someone who's definitely Naz and Chris at some point, and I think there might be other mentions of potential world hoppers and further broadsheet pages.
You wouldn't tell us.
I do give you guys the Easter eggs.
No, you don't. You don't ever tell us anything.
I showed you all the stuff about Naz following Shalon and stuff, and like pointing him out when he was with the bridgemen trying to sketch their tattoos.
I don't even remember that, so.
Okay.
I
So we
think,
continue
I
with
think you're lying. I don't remember that at all.
Wax's point of view as he increases his weight and flares his steel to push on the doors between the two train cars to block the bullets Miles fires at him. He can hear children crying and see people poke their heads out to see what's happening. Wax is worried for the bystanders and notices that the bullets are aluminum since he can't sense them. Wax goes out of the train car and pushes himself upwards and onto the roof of the train as Miles continues firing at him. So what do you think about Wax deciding to fight on the roof of the train to avoid the bystanders?
Good idea.
What do you think, Darkness?
Sorry? Which way?
Of Wax deciding to fight on the roof of the train to avoid like any of the passengers getting
Oh,
injured.
yeah. I remember that. I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I mean, you can tell he cares a lot, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. So Miles then gets up onto the roof as well, and Wax wonders how he's going to kill Miles' 100 lives. Miles is holding a gun with a lot of firepower.
Wondering the same thing.
Miles is holding a gun with a lot of firepower, as he often favors firepower over accuracy. Wax reduces his weight and hangs off the side of the train and aims his gun until Miles pokes his head down to look for him. Wax hits Miles twice in the head, but Miles rips off his mask, and Wax watches as the wounds quickly heal. Wax can also see the golden bolts that Miles has driven into his arms to make sure his metal mines can't be pushed or pulled off of him. So what do you think about Miles easily taking 2 shots to the head and barely being slowed down?
Man's a monster.
What do you think about that, Darkness?
100 lives?
Oh yeah, kill him 100 times. There you go. That's how we're gonna kill him.
Also, what do you think about Miles implanting his metal mines into his skin?
Man, seems a little fishy.
It's the same thing the Lord Ruler did. He had like his bands like dug into his skin so that you couldn't like push or pull them off of him.
Wait, wasn't there a thing? Didn't somebody in the other book say something about the Lord Ruler would return or some shit?
Yeoman was convinced that the Lord Ruler would come back and that like the whole Vin and Kelsey are taking over was like just like part of the Lord Ruler's plans.
Yeah, maybe that's what's happening.
Oh my god, he's coming back.
The Lord Ruler's back. Or, Spook turned into the Lord Ruler.
Imagine.
Sorry, I missed something. I had to.
Wow, shit isn't even.
I'm so sorry.
Crazy. One of the biggest theories we've had so far.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Can you repeat it?
I don't know if I want to repeat it now. You just not listening to us. You're just not taking us seriously. Man, I said, and I quote, maybe that Spook might have turned, I think either the Lord Ruler might have come back or Spook might have turned into the Lord Ruler.
Interesting.
Seems very similar.
Interesting.
Eerily similar.
Yeah, that's a theory. Interesting.
That's a theory. A book theory.
Also,
it's a spook theory.
Spook theory. So Wax shoots a tree and then jumps from the train, using the bullet in the tree to push himself back onto the train and between the two train cars. He hears Miles shooting at him from further up the train. Wax peeks up at the top of the train and sees Miles running at him. Wax shoots at Miles' hand that is holding his gun, causing Miles to drop the gun and for it to go over the side of the train. Miles curses and throws himself at Wax, slamming Wax's head against the train car. Wax shoots Miles multiple times in the gut as Miles slams Wax into the train car again. Miles doesn't even flinch. Wax tries to push himself up to get away, but Miles hooks his foot onto the ladder and hangs onto Wax to hold him in place. Miles tells Wax that even if he tears the ligaments in his foot, they'll instantly repair themselves. Wax stops trying to push upwards and instead increases his weight so much that Miles has to let go as Wax slams into him. Miles then climbs up onto the roof of the train, and Wax decreases his weight and pushes himself up to the train roof as well. Both men draw their second weapon since Wax has also dropped his first gun in the fight. Miles' shot grazes Wax's side, but Wax hits Miles in the knee, causing his second shot to go wild. Wax then shoots Miles in the hand again, and then shoots at the gun to cause it to what the fuck, Windows? Jesus Christ, I had a giant pop-up from my fucking computer out of nowhere in the middle of that.
Window!
Wax then shoots Miles in the hand again, and shoots at the gun to cause it to fly off the train. Miles curses again about how expensive those guns are. So what do you think of Wax's plan to get rid of Miles' weapon since it's so hard to kill him?
Idea. Yeah, it's just full of good ideas.
I know this is gonna sound like I'm just playing off this fucking world again, but all of this gives me Spider-Man vibes, honestly. Mostly because, if they're too big, you just gotta disable them.
Yeah.
And he's also trying to not hurt the people around, accidentally.
He's definitely Spider-Man for sure.
He's this world's Peter Parker.
Interesting. Miles then tells Wax why he's doing this, that he is a good law keeper, but all criminals come from the city, so he's here to stop the problem, as the people of the city never care about the trash they send out to the roughs. Miles says that he can see that Wax understands him, but that he knows Wax won't join him, because Wax is the type to just try to do better when beaten by his master. Wax jumps away when Miles approaches him again, and Miles taunts him by saying he'll go after Marassi and Wayne as he begins to walk away. Wax curses and goes after him, as Miles pulls out an aluminum knife. Wax goes to try to shoot the knife from Miles' hand like he had with the guns, but Miles stabs the knife into his own arm to keep from dropping it. They grapple for a moment before Wax is kicked off of the train. Wax pushes off his own knife to keep from slamming into the ground, but ends up in a field and not back on the train. So what did you think about Miles threatening Wayne and Marassi to try to force Wax to fight him instead of just backing off?
Very smart. Definitely knows how to get in Wax's head for sure.
I wonder how long they've known each other.
I mean, I think Wax says he's been in the Rust for like 15 years? Or was that Miles who'd been out there for 15 years? They've probably known each other for at least a decade. So, yeah, they've known each other for quite a long time. So Wax gets up and moves onto the train tracks before using the metal in the train tracks to throw himself forward in extremely fast leaps until he's flying over the train and slams himself down in front of Miles, denting the top of the train car. Miles is stunned, and Wax throws a bullet casing at Miles, who catches it in confusion before Wax pushes on the casing and throws Miles from the train. Wax then lays down on the top of the train until the next stop. So what do you think of Wax being able to throw Miles from the train car to end the fight that way?
That was ingenious.
That's cool. I want to get thrown off like that.
I'll get you off, don't worry.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
What? Off the train? Gosh.
Yeah, midnight. Damn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought of all the people here. You wouldn't have had a dirty mind, but see, she's looking away and everything, darkness.
Sorry, Jesus, back 1 second. Sorry, because we had to give my mom's car keys back, so I was just confirming everything was good.
So you didn't have to take a break? Gotcha.
Yeah, she's dealt with it.
Yeah, like the good guy he is.
Yeah.
He's too good for you.
Wow.
That's
He
crazy.
needs to be with me instead.
That's crazy.
No, I don't think he'd be interested in you. Sorry to tell you, but he's only interested in people who vote.
Yeah, okay.
So we skip forward in time to Wax talking to the train engineers who had apparently been told to never stop the train in case of the Vanishers. Wax says it's for the best since he probably would have died if they stopped the train. He's currently holding a bandage to his wound while waiting for a surgeon to arrive. Wayne and Marassi are still trapped in their train car as Miles had trapped them in the car before going after Wax to not have to face Wax and Wayne at the same time. The engineer states that Wayne and Marassi will be out soon. So what did you think about Miles locking Wayne away so that he couldn't help Wax?
That's funny as fuck, actually.
Yeah.
So Marassi suddenly bursts into the room asking if Wax is okay, although she blushes at seeing him with his shirt off. Wayne peeks around her and states that Wax will be
Needs to
fine.
get over herself. Gosh.
But asks how he got injured. Wax replies that he fought Miles and had killed him a few times, but it never seemed to be permanent. Wayne replies that Wax needs to get rid of Miles' metal mines, but Wax replies that Miles has 30 of them, all piercing his skin, and all with enough healing to heal him from any wound. So what do you think about the number of metal mines that Miles keeps, inside of him?
Insanity. Isn't that more than the Lord Ruler? Because I feel like the Lord Ruler didn't have that many. He had,
Yeah, the Lord
rings on the arm.
Ruler, I think, had, one of each metal,
Yeah,
but he had, huge, rings that I feel like they were, he had, huge rings, I think, that went in and out of his arms or legs or something.
Yeah, and then she ripped him out of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She drew in the mist to get I think basically a Duralumin amount of push with her steel to shove them out of his skin because that's the only way to pull metal from someone's body.
You use your hands.
Well, okay, I meant allemantly push them or pull them. Yeah, he's got fucking 30 fucking spikes through him. That's a crazy amount of metal through your body.
Is it though?
Yeah, I'd say it's a lot.
I mean, after the man stabbed himself, I'm like, alright, pretty sure it doesn't matter how much metal this man puts in, he will never feel that pain again.
Mm-hmm. So Marassi then looks at Wax's wound, since by Harmony's orders, the university makes everyone learn a bit of everything before specializing. So she had some medical training. Eventually, Wax puts his shirt in...
Which is crazy. You have to learn literally everything?
Yep.
Okay.
So even if you're doing an English degree or something, it's you also have to learn anatomy and medicine.
I liked. I'm always gonna mess their names up. Pretty sure it's Wayne's comment about when she says about anatomy, and he's like, "Oh, anatomy, like all anatomy."
Yeah, and she's like, yes, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they already made fun of me.
So eventually Wax puts his shirt and coat back on as Wayne teases Marassi for blushing so easily, and Wax starts to tell a story about when Wayne first joined him, but Wayne cuts him off saying they don't need to talk about that. Which I want to know what that story is too, because apparently Wayne was really easily, like, embarrassed in the past. Wax is sure that Miles is going to be attacking again, likely a cargo of aluminum to replenish their supplies. He thinks there might be one tonight. Wayne then suggests going to Renette's place to do some planning. So yeah, those are our... It was a really short episode, even though we did like a normal number of
All
pages.
of these are really short.
I don't know why they're always so short.
It was only 3 chapters.
Four.
No,
it was 4 chapters.
10, 11,
Right.
12, 13.
But also, like,
can't
it was
count.
still like
They're all
60-something
short.
pages. That's what, like...
We need to just up the pages, honestly.
Just read the whole book.
Oh,
in
you know
one
what? I
fucking
wonder
sitting.
if...
I agree.
I
with
wonder
you.
if the font size is bigger in these books compared to Stormlight. Because I think I
Oh,
heard
wow,
somewhere
what
that...
a detective.
Because I think I heard somewhere that Stormlight, like, in order to actually be able to bind the books and have them be, like, with the amount of pages, they had to, like, make the pages thinner as well as, like, reduce the font size.
Would that
Because
have mattered for me though?
Or me.
Probably not. It probably just would have, depending on the font size you use in your ebook, it probably just would have increased the number of pages you go through in the ebook. But, like, I always figure out how many chapters to do based on page count, right? So, like...
Terrible idea, because
Right, you should be able to like count every word and make sure they're all the same.
yeah, just count all the words.
Gosh. Anyway, so I've got some overview questions.
No.
First of all, what do you think Renette will
Right
be
now.
like, considering Wax seems so reluctant to go see her?
She's gonna be like, what was that woman that you hated last time?
Aurienne?
Yeah, that's it.
You think
She's
Renette's gonna
like-
be Aurienne, but like gunmaker? Because apparently she's made Wax's guns.
Yeah.
What do you think she'll be like, Darkness?
Wait, who?
Renette.
The-
Renette, the woman who makes guns that Wayne keeps wanting to
Right.
go see.
She's gonna be like, she's gonna have that whole fucking armory ready. She's gonna pull up, like they're gonna pull up, and she's gonna like take down a wall, and it's gonna be like a fucking wall full of guns.
Do you think
You can, like,
Renette
take your
is an
pick
allomancer or
price.
fairchemist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Either that or duel. Either way.
What type of powers do you think she might have then?
She bends guns.
What does that mean?
She's a gun bender.
Bender.
She a pewter arm then? She can just like grab it in her hands and bend the whole gun.
No, she bends it with her mind. You don't know about the
No, I know what
gun
you're
bending copper mine?
I know what reference you're making, but
Am I making a reference?
I'm assuming to like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Gun
I mean, I
bending.
guess technically because I did say bender, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like she's gonna have like, can't think of what the metal is because I can't find my list.
What
Um,
power though then?
The Breeze's powers. Breeze or
Oh,
all around
soothing?
powers. Yeah, like rioting and soothing or something like that. One of
I
those.
think she's either gonna use I think it's either zinc or brass. I think were the two.
If it turns out that she's a twin born too, I'm gonna give up because like why are there so many of you?
I don't know. Aren't they supposed to be rare?
They're very rare.
Like what the hell?
That's not what it looks like.
I mean,
So
we've got
many.
3.
That's not rare.
3 in
How
fucking
many
close
people?
proximity?
Wait, no, wait.
No,
We've
it's
met
more.
How many actual people?
I think Allendale probably has like at least 1 million people. Population of Allendale. And this is
We've
not
had
including
4 people, by the way.
Allendale is said to
During
have
this-
said to have 5 million people, and that's not including all the outer cities and the roughs.
Okay.
So-
Now, with that same idea, now, how many allomancers or ferrochemists are there in the city? Not everybody is, right? There's some people
no,
who
not
are
everybody is.
just basic.
Do they have a percentage? I don't know if we have like a percentage of people that are allomancers. But we know that Wax said in I think the first few chapters that it's like super small percentage of allomancers are twinborns because you have to have a Terraceman relative to be a ferrochemist.
How does that even work?
What do you mean how does that work?
Weren't they all hunted down and shit?
Well, no, remember there was still some. We don't know if like maybe Say's like restored some of their abilities because Say's thought he was the last ferrochemist alive.
Oh my god, he restored their. Anyway,
You restored what? Tardis?
I feel like we've been over this before.
I mean, I still want you to tell me what you said because I didn't exactly hear it.
He cut himself off. He didn't actually say it.
Oh, what? Darkness?
No. I'm sure you know.
No, I don't.
The thing that Sayes didn't have, I'm assuming he's implying.
Still confused.
Oh,
He
well,
made them
that's too
not
bad.
eunuchs anymore. I'm assuming
Okay.
Darkness is
Is that what
implying.
you're talking about, Darkness? Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, so do you think that Wax and Wayne will be able to stop the Vanishers from targeting the special cargo train?
Absolutely not. They're
What's in the
unable to
special cargo
stop
train?
anything.
I'm assuming there's going to be aluminum in the special cargo train. Because remember, Mr. Suit wants
No,
them
it's
to
gonna be
go after
women.
that. It's going to be women.
That's why they're targeting it.
Yep. A bunch of women, you know.
Also, do you think Wax will be able to kill Miles this book, or do you think he's just going to keep having to get away from him and Miles will keep showing up?
Well, I mean, we got a point of view from Miles. I feel like we're just going to see so much more of them.
He dies next chapter.
Why
So
give us
don't
a
you
point
think-
of view if we don't actually get, like, you know, anything from it? Like, come on.
He dies next chapter. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. During the apparently chapter where we go see Renette, he dies.
What if she has him hostage? I told you. She's like Batman or some shit.
Okay. Also, do you think Marassi's powers are going to be useful at some point somehow?
Yeah, at some point, I'm sure.
Wait, what was the question?
Do you think Marassi's powers will be useful at some point?
Oh, hell yeah.
Or Bubbles?
It's probably fucking the epitome of like what's gonna end up happening. Like that's the thing that we need.
I see.
And she's gonna be like, I don't want to leave all of you guys. No,
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's going to be.
She's gonna be 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah. She's going to be the person that like saves them somehow.
Hmm.
And be like, I'll sacrifice myself for you. I'll slow all of them down so you guys can get away.
What if she takes the big bad into the future instead, so they don't have to deal with it now?
Oh my god.
That way they're more capable and had time to prepare.
Marassi and Miles actually become a couple. And they become evil together.
Don't put it past them.
Alright,
That'd
did you
be
guys...
cool. Honestly, why don't we get a perspective of like a bad guy? Like, give me a book where the bad guy is different.
Supposedly, we did.
We just did.
No, we also got it. Wait,
no, I meant like the whole book where like
we got Miles. We got the one dude from Elantris, right? I think it's the one dude who was in Red Army. Yeah, who was supposedly a bad guy until the very end when he decided he was going to be a good guy.
Which means he's a good guy.
No, it doesn't change anything. He's still a bad guy. You do one good thing. You do one good thing does not make you a good guy.
It makes you a god.
No, that's Kelsier.
Oh.
No, I mean we do get point of views of people who are.
I get it, but I meant like a book itself.
Oh, a whole book of just evil people. I mean,
yeah, where they actually fucking win.
We get POVs of Zeth. He's evil.
Right, well, this is a great place to plug my book.
Is it out now?
No, that's what I was making a joke.
Need to wait for it to be out, then we'll plug it.
Yeah, I know. Gotta wait for somebody that I actually care, who's reputable, in my opinion.
You're not going to self-publish?
I don't know. I've thought about it, believe me.
But yeah, do you guys have any other thoughts or theories?
You are a theory.
You're
hard.
That's
gonna be the catchphrase for this podcast now.
I just knew Darkness was gonna say it, so I said it in here.
I knew you were gonna say it, so I said it.
The only real theory that, like I said, the only theory I have is that either the Lord Ruler is back or Spook is like acting as the Lord Ruler kind of thing, like just doing Lord Ruler-esque things, you know.
I see.
He's too wholesome and innocent for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing bad ever happened to him.
He definitely was never controlled by Ruin at one point.
No.
Wait, I mean, kind of, but not really.
He was kind of manipulated by Ruin more so than
controlled. Yeah, I was saying he's kind of, but not really controlled.
Yeah, not really fully controlled, just manipulated.
Technically, he thought it was Kelsier, so
he did think it was Kelsier.
What a dummy!
I know, right? Why would you ever think that would be Kelsier? Kelsier's dead.
Yeah, totally.
Just like Jackson was dead.
Yeah. I mean, technically Kelsier is dead. He's a cognitive shadow, but technically his body's dead. Body got consumed by a Kandra.
He's not dead. He came back as a different person. He inhabited another person's body and became.
Did he?
Yeah, totally.
So next time we'll be reading chapters 14 through 17.
And we'll be discussing Kelsier's ascension into godhood.
Yep. 100%, because we all know that's true.
Just 14.
And how Spook is now his demigod, champion.
So before we go, I want to thank Hubris, Kaladin Dies in Book 3, and Kyle for being our Patreons. Thank you. We really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Kaladin Dies in Book 3. Wonderful.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know. We'll have to find out after we finish Mistborn Era 2.
Which is like in a couple of fucking weeks, right?
Years.
There's 4 books in Mistborn Era 2.
4 books?
At the rate that we're going, Darkness.
I don't want to do 4 books.
There's 4 books.
I told you guys to do the other one. You guys wanted to do this one.
No, I wanted to do this one.
Exactly.
All right,
we needed a tiebreaker, but we didn't get it.
Your face is a tiebreaker.
Oh my gosh.
You're hard.
Say goodbye to the audience, guys.
Oh, bye.